Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dark Reviewer. And I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. I've just had things to do this past year that have been very important to me. So now that I'm back, I want to start this new kind of session off with obviously another review. But this review, as you've probably read in the title, is of Ant-Man Quantumania. Before we start, spoilers ahead, and if you are new here, I would like you to go down into the bottom section, and I want you to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to keep updated on my channel. But that all being said, let's get right into it, shall we? We start off the movie with Janet Van Dyne seeing a ship crash into the quantum realm. So now, when she goes to see what it is, she gets attacked by a bunch of quantum creatures, which we don't really know the names of. And as she's about to probably lose to those creatures, there's a guy named Kang saves her. He asks where he is, and then we cut to a lot of years later to where Scott is now this big time hero, and he is just happy to be a part of a group of superheroes that do help people. He gets noticed everywhere. He gets free stuff from a coffee shop. Uh, he gets employee of the month at his old job, Baskin Robbins. It's crazy, but eventually he is talking about his book. Look out for the little guy, and after he's done reading it to a bunch of children, he gets a call from the San Francisco County Jail to so they tell him that his daughter Cassie has been arrested for shrinking down a cop car, which prompts to her that's pretty badass. But when they get back to Hank's house, they kind of have this mini pizza that they grow into a big pizza, and they kind of eventually they start talking about the quantum realm, and Cassie brings up the fact that she's been working on something with Hank to talk to the quantum realm. And Janet eventually doesn't like this because it's sending signals down as the quantum realm. So she tries to turn it off, but instead they all get sucked into the quantum realm, and they all get set, and the group gets separated into Cassie and Scott and Hope, Hank, and Janet. And so Scott and Cassie get kidnapped by a bunch of freedom fighters and forced to drink some kind of weird ooze and all that. And Hank, Janet, and Hope all go to see Hope's kind of ex that she had in the quantum realm for a while. There was this whole weird thing where I think Hank was jealous of the guy because he was banging his wife, obviously, but eventually there's a lot of back and forth with that, but the guy betrays them because he's working with Kang the Conqueror, who is the main villain of the movie, and he rats them out to the Kang soldiers, I guess, and so they have to flee in his ship, which after Hank grows this kind of octopus thing that was in a drink, and since that little octopus saw this dude eat his friend, because apparently it's a delicacy where the quantum realm is, but since that happened, the octopus obviously kills him. Janet kind of flies off. They have a weird conversation about Janet having needs, which, okay, I mean, I guess, like, but then it cuts back to Scott and Cassie kind of like trying to convince that these people that we are, or that they are not spies for Kang, but eventually, like, Kang bots and all that find them, and they start shooting at them and all that. Then MODOK appears, and it turns out to be Darren Cross. Darren Cross defeats Cassie and Scott. They bring them to Kang. Kang gives Scott a proposition to either help him in his endeavors, or to get his kind of multiversal core back that Janet had destroyed, which I'll get into in a minute, and or else he'll kill his daughter. So obviously Scott agrees. We cut back to Janet, who is now explaining who Kang is. Basically, she had helped him rebuild his ship and all that, but in doing so, she kind of saw what Kang was. So then she stops helping him and she tries to flee from him. But Kang has his suit back, so now he's really powerful. And so Kang kind of tries to destroy Jan, but she ends up destroying his multiversal core, which strands both of them there. But eventually she gets out because Ant-Man 2, I guess. But after all that, it was kind of time for Scott to do his thing where he has to go help Kang. So he does. He helps Kang with his endeavors, and eventually they do get the core back. Kang is just about to leave the planet when basically Cassie kind of overtakes the speakers after escaping from Kang and telling the whole quantum realm that they can stand up, fight back against Kang. And so the quantum realm kind of just gangs together on Kang's forces, and the freedom fighters get in there, even the captured ones, including the freedom fighter leader, who did not really like Cassie and Scott at first, but now she's kind of getting used to them. And now Kang is in a sort of position where how is he going to defeat these people? And right as everything's going down, he kind of builds like a force field around his place and all that. Scott grows really big after him, Hope, and Hank kind of met up with a bunch of really sophisticated ants that Hank had made and accidentally shrunk down with them when they were going to the quantum realm. But apparently like a matter of a day, they kind of like evolved to like these super civilized and advanced species. So then the ants and Hank kind of go into battle. Kang is like, okay, I'm sick of this crap, and so he goes down and he just starts slaughtering people, and eventually he starts fighting Ant-Man, and things are going kind of good for Kang. And then Hank's ants start getting in. They defeat Kang and they kind of drag him off. Everything seems to be going very good. Like the heroes have won, the quantum realm was saved, and now they just get to go home. So what Janet does is she makes a kind of portal deal to get them home. Now, as they are all going into the portal, Cassie and Scott are left. Scott pushes her in because he sees Kang running for both of them, and so he wanted to save his daughter. And so there's this whole final battle between Scott and Kang, which now Kang doesn't really have his whole suit to protect him and doesn't have all the power that he did before, so he's kind of he was losing at first to Scott, but then he starts dogging on Scott, and it was pretty cool, I guess. Now you're probably wondering what happened to MODOK in the film. Well, earlier on during the kind of final battle with all the armies and all that, he kind of realized oh my god, I'm such an asshole, I need to change sides and all that. So then he sacrifices himself to stop Kang and all them, they kind of play up his joke as a death, or his death as a joke and all that. And it was a pretty stupid death, to be honest. He was a wasted character. Um, but eventually, Scott defeats Kang by kind of killing him like he did with Darren Cross, but actually killing him this time by kind of like throwing Kang into his multiversal core and exploding Kang, which was pretty gruesome. It was just a pretty gruesome death. I mean, like, I get the guy as a conqueror and all, but like, did he really deserve that? But after all of that, Scott's kind of like traumatized by the fact that he might have just started the end of the world. But he's like, nah, it's probably nothing. But then he starts really thinking about it. He's like, oh crap. So eventually he get back around to the coffee shop where where the old dude was like thanking Scott, but mistook him for Spider-Man. So, but this time he actually gets it right. And basically now the movie's over, but I decided to wait for the post-credit scene, which thank God I did, because there were two post-credit scenes. The first one was of a whole basically army of Kangs rallying together, just like getting real pumped up that they're about to go destroy some shit. And there's like the three main gangs, and that's going to lead into Kang Dynasty, which will be coming out in a few years. Now, the second post-credit scene was of a Kang variant who is kind of like a really mad doctor from the 18th century. Now, the best part about this second post-credit scene is that Loki shows up along with his pal, I think it's Morbius, whatever his name was. But that's basically setting up season 2 of Loki, which I cannot wait for, and maybe I might cover on the show. But all in all, thoughts of the movie. It was a pretty mid movie. The jokes didn't really land all too well. I hated the fact they had to kind of like play up MODOK's death and his whole kind of like thing for laughs. Like every time MODOK trying to get like a cool scene in, like he was kind of like played off and they're like, wait a minute, you're Darren Cross and all that. Like, it was a pretty stupid way to introduce the character of MODOK. But it was pretty good action. I did like Kang as a character. He's really calm and collected, even when he's like terrifying and like lifting people up with his like kind of telekinetic powers and all that. Very scary character. But all in all, I feel like he was also wasted as a character because I wish we could have saw a lot more of Kang. But I guess we'll see more Kangs in the Kang Dynasty. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching this review, and I hope y'all are doing well. I'll try to upload more videos now that I'm back, and yeah, I will see y'all later. Bye bye. I guess I don't